We'll go ahead and start. I'll call the ARP task force meeting will convene. The commissioners are in recess. Come back into order. Our meeting again. All right. So our first thing on our agenda is we have two sets of minutes here. One of May 4th and one of June 7th. And that need to be approved. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at it, or if you want me to read them and get you up to date. I'll do either way. And that's, okay, we're going to read it. Starting with May 4th, Dr. Manship made motion to accept the minutes from the March 1, 2022 meeting. Motion was second by Brock Bush. Dr. Manship made motion to accept the minutes from the April 5th, 22 meeting. Motion was second by Brock Bush. Outside the wall, Lila Drake and Meredith Peters are requesting $10,000 of ARP funds to help with expenses for future projects. They received money previously and had pictures of the ramp they built for an individual who was in a wheelchair, and made various other projects for individuals. In the Dr. Manship made motion to approve the $10,000 and forward on to the commissioners for final approval. Motion was second by Brock Bush. Motion passed. Awareness, Washington County. Susan Soliday, Nathan Bills, and Amanda Bills were present to discuss what their organization does and what the funds would be used for. They do a variety of projects throughout the county and offer leadership classes. The chili cook-off is one of their biggest fundraisers, but they were unable to have this in 2020 and 21 due to COVID. The estimated loss is $10,000. Brock Bush made motion to give awareness Washington County $11,000 and send on to commissioners for final approval. Motion was seconded by Dr. Manship. Motion passed. Campbellsburg Park and Recreation. Shauna Pittman, Jeannie Combs explained the lost revenue from lack of having ball games and fundraisers in 2020. The approximate loss was a total of $10,281 and 9 cents. The park would like to put up more fences for the ball fields, upgrade restroom, playground equipment, and the bleachers. Dr. Manship made motion to grant Campbellsburg Park and Recreation $10,000. Motion was second by Brock Bush. Motion passed. Tourism Board. Susan Lloyd from the Tourism Board reported that had a loss of a total of $32,788 and 11 cents due to COVID. They were unable to hold fundraisers during that time. The money raised goes to projects promoting area points of interest such as Beck's Mill and several other hiking trails. Task Force and Commissioners will look into a tax revenue loss in the ARP guidelines, since the Tourism Board does receive innkeeper's tax money. The Task Force and Commissioners requested she come back to the next meeting on June 7th, 2022. Martinsburg Lions Club submitted a revised request. The revised request was in the amount of $10,600 due to loss from fundraisers. After looking through the request, Dr. Manship made motion to award $8,200 to the Martinsburg Lions Club and send on to the commissioners for final approval. Motion was seconded by Brock Bush. Motion passed. Delaney Park. Task Force and Commissioners again reviewed the request from the Delaney Park. They did have expenses for sanitation equipment and supplies, but at this time, David Horst suggested tabling this request and would like for John Bullington from the park to come and explain. Whether funeral home or request was again looked at for a cooler and lift for a total of $15,226. It was recommended by the task force to table. With there being no further discussion, Dr. Manship made a motion to adjourn. Motion was second Mark Bush, motion passed. With there being no further business at hand, Commissioner Roberts made a motion to adjourn. Motion was seconded by Commissioner Ewing, motion passed. I'm looking, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as read? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve. Dean Temple's made the motion, second. By Sherry. It's open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carried. Yeah, I'm going to write my name and catch my voice out. Okay, I'll move to the June 7th, 2022. Yeah. All right, I'll do that. All right, we just approved the May 4th minutes, and I'm getting ready to read June 7th. Minutes from the previous meeting were presented but not approved due to not having a quorum. The Campbellsburg County Festival. Superintendent spoke on behalf of the Campbellsburg County Country Festival. They lost revenue to not having a tractor pull, wing contest, cowboy, cowgirl contest, bake contest. They're asking for $3,419. David Orr recommended passing this on to the commissioner. Tourism. Susan Lloyd provided more information from the tourism board as requested. The tourism biggest expenditure is advertising. They are trying to promote attractions in the county such as Bex Mills, Salem Speedway, John and Hay Depot, Stevens Museum, and Old Settlers Days. They are requesting $10,000. They would recommend moving this on to the commissioners. Fire Chiefs Association. Fire Chiefs Association provided a list of all the volunteer fire departments and what they have spent their ARP money on. Most departments have spent the money upgrading their hoses, turnout gear, medical supplies, as well as other needed supplies. They wanted to express their thanks for the money sent to each volunteer fire department. Hope to be considered again with the next round of money. Fuel tank. The highway department has been ordered by IDEM to replace the fuel tanks currently stored underground. In litter construction has provided a quote for two 10,000-gallon gas steel two jacketed tanks at a cost of $67,462. These tanks will have a 30-year warranty. The auditor's office contacted Baker Tilly on confirmation this is an allowable expense with the ARP money. David Hoare would like to see the cost of having the tanks placed above ground. Commissioner Ewing made a motion to accept the quote and order the tanks. Motion was seconded by Commissioner Roberts. Motion passed. Washington County Food Bank. WCFD requested $20,000 to do some updates to their building. They would like to have new flooring and an awning for the front of the building. David Orr mentioned they'd like to have someone from the food bank come and explain the request, as well as have these projects broken down separately. The next meeting will be held July 6th, 2022, pending fund. With there being no further business, Brock Bush made a motion to adjourn. Motion was seconded by David Hoare. Motion passed. I will, is there any additions or corrections to the June 7th meeting?
I have a question.
Okay.
I apologize for not being here, but, the fuel tanks for the highway, was there a percentage of that the highway's gonna match, or did they just get all of that?
It was all thing. From the standpoint, to be honest with you, the first tanks we ordered, they went out of business. Finding fuel tanks has been a problem. And then with steel prices going up, and I think that's one reason we moved as fast as we did. It was only a 30-day quote.
I guess I'm asking that because it goes back to, when some of the municipalities asked for, help with their utilities, there was a percentage put on that. And I guess I'm questioning, because that is a large amount, why wasn't there a percentage put on that? If I can ask that question.
Do municipalities charge money for profit?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Phil.
Municipalities charge money for profit.
Do we make money?
Yeah.
We do on our water, yes.
Okay. The county doesn't make money off those fuel tanks. The county does get out and push snow, push trees, and it's not for anybody per se as a single individual. The county trucks are yours just as much as they are mine. And we felt like it was a just cause. And being the state told us we had to do it. And then it got to be an option. We're still in a time frame where it has to be done. We felt like it was a just cause. Now that's the best answer I could give you.
Thank you.
It's not our county, we don't go out charging with our trucks to shove snow. And it is a footed bill. And if we did do it another way, we'd have to turn around and look at some way to substitute the difference. And that would go back to, we all know, taxation. Because it has to be done.
Thanks. I just wanted an explanation for that. Thanks.
That's the best I could give you.
Okay.
Okay, are there any additional corrections in there? Not for procedure wise, I'll entertain a motion to approve. If there's any further discussion on either one of these two minutes in there, we'll bring it up during the open session. So, in a motion, Anita? Second. Brock is seconded. It's open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same. Motion carried. Okay. I don't, we got Posey here. Do we have Campbellsburg represented here too? Campbellsburg? All right.
Let's see.
Which one of these come first? Or,
I'm sorry, Kyra, I don't have the Campbellsburg. I'll just look off hers, it's fine. No, that's okay, you don't have to, no, it's fine.
Sure.
all right. I don't know whether order these. You got a preference?
You don't have any.
Campbellsburg, you want to go?
However you guys do it, it's fine.
Well, you want to go ahead and Campbellsburg?
Sure.
All right. I'll ask you to be front and center. There.
Thank you.
Just for record in there, please state your name, who you're representing, and then kind of go through with what your proposal is.
Okay, my name is Chris Goulet. I represent the town of Campbellsburg Utilities. Tonight we're proposing to finish. We currently have a storage building that we started during COVID, and we haven't got it finished yet. We're kind of looking for some help on funding to get it finished. It's located south of Campbellsburg at the water treatment plant. Its main use is for equipment storage and chemical storage. It needs to be heated and cooled for powdered chemical. If we buy our chemical in bulk, we can save money. But that was the purpose of the building, and that's kind of what we're looking for with that proposal.
Some of this building's already up.
It is. The building's 40 by 60, 12 foot high, and it's currently gravel ready for concrete, and that's as far as we've got. No electricity, nothing.
Was this total project with what's existing there right now 36,200, or is it more than that?
It would, you're talking, are you asking, I lost you there, sorry.
Well, right now you're asking for 36,200. Is that to complete the building?
That would get it, to the point where we could get it heated and cooled, and Anita and I had talked, and we didn't put the heating and air stuff on there, climate control. We thought we would take care of that. That would be just get it insulated, concreted, wired, lights. It would get it to that point, and then we would take it over from there.
So you already spent some money to get
Yes.
to the project to where it is now.
That's right, yes.
How much money have you spent to,
I want to say we spent around $25,000.
all right?
How much do you think you'll spend on the heating and air?
I think by the time we insulate it, put metal on the walls, and the heating and air, I think we'll spend another $15,000 to $18,000.
The heating and air?
Yes, yes.
Well, the installation spreads on materials in here is 12.3, you're talking more than that.
Yeah, he's talking $18,000 just for the heating and air, right?
Well, we'll after we insulate it, we'll metal over top of the insulation.
So then you don't have to metal in this bid, because you got insulation.
No, we would take care of that.
You take care of the
Yes.
metal.
Yeah. Pull your mic around, Jim.
Sure, sorry. Did you hear what I said then, basically?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Is this a quote that you have received from a local person, or is this something that'll be done by the town?
No, it's just an estimate by myself and Anita.
So will your labor be will you have labor from somebody that's employed by the town, or how will you?
We're gonna do as much labor as we possibly can
Okay,
with the people we have. We do a lot ourselves. There's not a lot that we don't do, just equipment a lot of times limits us. So as much as we can possibly do, we will do ourselves. Like the concrete, it's really underestimated because we plan on being a big part of that, so
okay, thank you.
thank you.
We put this whole project together, seeing what your total cost whenever you were with the town board and stuff proposing this project compared to, you said you started it 2 years ago, and then it kind of got put to the side. Of course,
Yes.
cost went up and stuff in the process of that, but I wondered if you had kind of an idea of what kind of difference you've seen as far as the cost, total cost of this project compared to COVID-19.
Well, concrete went from 120 a yard to, it's roughly around 180 right now, I think. Concretes went up, materials went up, wire, anything to do concretes really went up. Metal, when we go to metal the inside, even though we're not asking for that part, there will really be a lot of cost there because it's doubled. I think it's well into the $3 a running foot and to metal the ceiling and the walls, the expense it'll be a big expense. Just everything went up so much, you know, and part of our reasoning for asking, our powdered chemical, one of the chemicals we use, we buy 20 bags at a time, so we're not sitting on a lot of it. It's had 3 increases in the last 6 months. You know, it's just getting to the point where if we don't start buying some things in bulk, that we're gonna have to have rate increases, you know, which is, it's hard to get away from that, but especially with the way materials have went up on everything. The spray foam, literally I'd say it's went up 30% or more, you know. Back 2 years ago, we probably could have got that building foam for $8,000. Things went up so much, and we're just looking for a little assistance.
Well, I just did some calculations with what you've got.
Yeah.
$25,000 is already spent in there, 15 to 18,000 for doing the heating. $36,200 is what you're requesting. If you were to take those that were able to complete, of course, you said your labor and stuff, you were looking at handling that internally, but just for those figures right there, $79,200. So they're asking a little less than half of to finish the project. So just to put it in perspective on that. Okay. Is there any other questions from the committee? No, you're talking about chemicals, keeping it climate controlled for those in there. Okay.
It will also be used for some equipment storage also. You know, we have a mini excavator, we have an old county dump truck and some other stuff, and it will be used for equipment storage also.
All right, this building is, that is the primary well now, right?
That's our primary water source, that property, yes.
Yes. So you're not using the river anymore?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
We have wells there's 3 wells on the property. There's roughly 10 acres there, and we have 3 production wells, and 1 water plant, so. Just south of Highway 60 on Campbell's North Livonia Road. Right by the cell tower, there's a cell tower off the highway.
That's good wells.
It's good water, it's really hard. That's our biggest complaint and problem. We have good water, it's just really hard. You just can't hardly wash a car with it, you know. The chemical that we add is polyphosphate, and it helps with softening, but it's like an anti-scale, anti-corrosion type chemical. And it's really expensive. It's our biggest monthly expense to treat the water.
What is your question? What is your population that you service for water in that area?
I can't say we have 347 customers in the town of Campbellsburg. Around 350, 347, that's pretty close. Water and sewer, and then we have a few more that are just water. So not very many.
You got a factory.
We've got MetShape, but MetShape.
Out of town. Do you have?
I want to say around 80, probably. And we have a couple poultry operations. We have MPP, NetShape Technologies in Campbellsburg. We serve them. So, you know, we have some industrial use and stuff that equate out to quite a bit more cutting. You know, if you break it down per in customer gallons, we really do quite a bit.
You have a couple poultry operations too?
We do, yes.
So that's 80 gallons a year there.
Yeah, just this year, especially with misters, you know, we're our usage is up right now. You know, and I don't see the weather breaking anytime soon.
Don't say that.
I wish it would.
We all do.
I know I've heard that Campbellsburg has one of the best treated water. I think, do you all use reverse osmosis? Isn't that?
We used to, we don't anymore. We went to pressure filters, which do just as much good, but like I said, our water's excellent. It's really hard, which causes a lot of trouble in the household.
All right, are there any more questions? Does anybody on the committee want to make an action at this time, or do you want to hear some other, in there, then go back in there? Not sure, what's your discretion?
I'll make a motion. I think they've got enough money they've put into it, they're gonna put extra into it. I think that, we should, try to give them the $36,200 for the total project.
Do we have a second?
I would second it.
Okay, the Temple second. It's open for discussion. Water's one of our main issues in there, and so, I think this fits perfectly into the task of that, so. Is there any more discussion? Not, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor of $36,200 to be, proposed to the commissioners for approval, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same. Motion carried. We'll leave it as a recommendation to the commissioners to approve $36,200.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Posey. Don't know if you all want to come up or not.
If I got the paperwork.
Yeah. I know we probably can hear you without microphones, but we're going to ask you to, both of you to represent yourself with name and who you're representing, and then briefly go through with us what you're proposing. Go ahead.
My name is Paul West. I'm president of the board of Posey Water Corporation. And this guy is Ryan. I forgot his last name. Old age. Ryan Backwood, he is our number one operator. We turn it over to him, he has all the information.
Most people know him by his nicknames. He has several aliases.
Okay, so this is gonna be a long story and a long ways around from where, the last time we talked to you guys, if you will open up the very back page, let's start right there to the one you see in the white. When we started looking at something that could help out our water system customers, we was looking for two things. What we had a tank on Oak Grove Road in Orange County. And then what it does, it comes down and feeds into Livonia and then into West Washington School. That tank there is 20 foot taller than our other tanks. And what we was trying to do was a dual purpose. We was going to add, starting from Livonia, coming up Parkersburg Livonia Road, to Posey Chapel, as you see the yellow line follows. And then we was going to help then jump on West Washington School Road and go north to Morgan Lane. We have a lot of water pressure issues that way. It's about 6.7 miles of line. So that's what we thought we could do. Two things. We could help out. We got new customers along Parkersburg Livonia Road, Posey Chapel Road, and then we had about, I think, roughly 42 customers that would get an increase of water pressure. So sent that to our engineers, went through it, and in the middle of going through all that, kind of had a brainstorm. We've got Mexican tanks sitting just right here behind Salem. And that's our last tank we built. It's got 110,000 storage. That tank only comes on every other day. We have a lot of, problems keeping our chlorine levels up in that, especially right now. We only have like 50 customers on it. So after looking at our maps, I got to thinking, I've got one piece from Howard Township Fire Department back to Beck's Mill, just about 7/10 of a mile. There's a piece of line that's not been joined. So then we got to looking at it and we ran it backwards. Using that tank there and coming back all the way up Kansas Church Road, if anybody's familiar with Turkey Foot, what we're going to do, after we've got looking at it, use that tank and bring water backwards all the way up Kansas Church Road, Posey Chapel, up Morgan Lane, and then the extension. What we ran into was the 6.5 miles down Hardenburg Level Road. We had no interest. We sent certified letters with stamps on so they could mail them back to us. No interest on Hardenburg Level Road. So we have between 10 and 15 customers on a short piece of Posey Chapel, about 1.7 or 1.2 miles from West Washington School Road heading west. So after we got our initial quote back from the engineers was $3 million to do this, the original one we sent in. So in the last week, after I started thinking about this other way, we put this together all at once. And if you kind of come up from the first page here, on the front here, this is basically what everybody's looking at here, with Rosebud Road in the middle. Coming off of Banks Mill Road, where you see all the red lines connected. The project now would be, as it says right here on this sheet here, 3.56 miles, and be able to service actually the 10 to 15 new customers. But the big thing is like the problem we're having right now is pressure. The Hardsburg and ammonia tanks are, the elevation is 860 on them. And what happens when you come down Bexhill Road, and we have a lot of poultry right there, and their pressure is only about 35 pounds, especially up Kansas Church Road, and it's even worse when you get to Morgan Lane up West Washington School Road. We get customers bouncing right at 30 pounds. So 2 years ago, we rebuilt a booster station on Cole Road, and that Cole Road feeds that Bexhill tank. What we're getting into now, because we put in new pumps, same size, but new motors, but just being that they're 20 years newer, we're now filling that tank up faster. But the problem is, when we have this heat like we do now, we are pulling so much water, I'm having to shut it down. And we're just going to run it at nighttime, just so everybody else don't feel the pressure because they're already at low pressure, and now we're pulling even harder on them. So by reversing this and bringing the water from Beck's Mill, instead of sending it on towards the Beck's Mill area, the backside of Salem, we would actually be able to include 48 customers up Kansas Church Road and then up Morgan Lane, and then we could actually be able to jump over Posey Chapel, pick up these 10 to 15 new customers. So that's kind of what we're looking at now. This, on this paper here, we went to Midwestern Engineering and had them draw us up a quote here for $900,000. I think it's ridiculous. I do not like this quote at all. I think they've added in way too many extras. I'd like to come back in 30 days and get a chance to go with another engineering group and get you guys a price that's, I think, will be way less than this, hundreds of thousands less than this. But what it would do for us, as far as the pressure, the amount of people it affect, and just overall, or the system health, would be from, just for the Bexhill tank that just sits there every other day, and the water not moving, the chlorine problems we have. But by being able to, we can average anywhere from our highest points 10 to 13 pounds more pressure per customer, all the way through Kansas Church Road, Posey Chapel, up West Washington School Road, and up Morgan Lane. And I think it would make a huge difference We also have customers I have not said a word to in the roads, if you, everybody's familiar with the Rosebud area, where Charlie Keltner lives, right there, Morgan Lane. We cannot go up an inch higher than right there, just because of pressure issues. If there's, you know, the Miller's Mini Barn, we have other customers running there that we could possibly reach without even adding any lines. That just can't, because their elevation is just that much higher, that we could actually help out and could put more customers on up there. I wasn't counting, man, but this is what, I think for overall, from the first quote we got for that mileage, I just don't think, there's no way you could ever, well, the quote was outrageous. And for the amount of mileage we had there, and then whenever we had nobody on Hartsburg up on your road, we had, Dean Stoner was off to the side of Hartsburg Livonia Road. He said he would, but the rest of the road, actual Hartsburg Livonia Road, we had 0. And I don't know how we could ever justify putting that kind of money for basically 4.5 miles, knowing what we're going to.
Even the poultry building.
The poultry buildings, the ones that do one on it are Josh Shields on Posey Chapel and Jared Green, which is on Reagan Road. And
It's one on like the Hardenberg right over.
no,
So,
all three of those on top of the hill.
yeah.
Never sent a letter back, no response. And I was very shocked because I thought, being where they're at right there, I thought we would have got, but there was, the biggest problem up there, when you go, right off of Posey Chapel is Chapel Lane. We've got a little subdivision there. Travis Holiday, Wesley Nicholson, and Travis's son live in this subdivision right here that's been started. They've told us the last 3 years, there's times when their water runs completely out and they have no water. And this was kind of what got it started. We was looking at different ways on trying to, how we get them water. The problem was their elevation is just like up in Morgan Lane, the road was a hair bit higher. We couldn't serve them water. But by using the Bexino tank and running it back and isolating basically the map, if you see this front page, if we ran it just like what it shows right there, you see that red line through there, everybody on the red line and above the red line would be the new customers that would get a chance to have the higher pressure. And it enables us to get water to where we would be going on the west side of Posey Chapel right there. So we basically would have a chance here, because everything below here is what our Hardenberg tank, Brecksburg tank covers. And Toll Road, where it comes in right here, the water would come in and go Toll Road and just come right back to it, and would give a chance for because everyone from here south, the water pressure is good. It's just this area right up through here where the elevation is increasing is what we're having all our trouble with.
What's your elevation at Vex Mills?
Let's see, that tank there is at 890, and our Hardenberg and Fredericksburg tanks are at 860.
So you have several customers up there, that portion you're having trouble with, where you've only got 35,000
Yes.
pressure?
Yes. Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah. And the biggest thing that we have on Bexmill Road is the amount of upholstery we have. I think we have 12 different houses coming up, or 12 houses total, and different, a lot of them the nicest, ours, we have a lot of upholstery in that area right there. That, especially this time of year here, when they, Chuck and Pierce is another one. I know some of these guys are pulling 10,000 gallons a day, just off, and we limit everybody to 3/4 meters. Now, what we've done, starting in the last few years, we don't let anyone hook directly to us no more. I think the Rippies, Chuck and Peters, we've made them bury tanks in the ground. And this way here, they use us as a float system. We did one on 66, for Trey Rowland's boy, and they basically put a tank in the ground and just use it, and we just put a float.
Yeah.
Our meter just runs it, and that gives them a day supply of water. And that way we're not in trouble, and if we do get in trouble, they can always call someone or be able to take a water truck to their tank and drop them. So that's about the only way we can carry these people, because otherwise, we would never be able to keep up with the summer demands, especially on the Bexino Road.
It's one thing to have a mad farmer with dying birds, and
Yes.
the only thing worse would be for the angry housewives
And right now, we're getting a call, the call started yesterday. This is of course, this is probably the hottest we've ever been since I've been down there. And I know last night, that's why I went and I'm shutting off the Bex Mill tank, because that extra draw of water right now with the poultry. A girl called me last night and she sent me a Facebook video and she was doing like this. She had water, but it's, she wasn't real happy, and that's what, that's what we're getting into right now.
Brian, have you said the Bexmill tank is 110,000?
Mhm.
Okay. What would this do if you were to increase the size of that tank? Would that help you, or are you just not able to service that?
The thing is, it's an upright tank. The thing that, whenever it was built, it had a small standpipe, and it was just for them few customers. Well then, before I come there, when they built the new tank. But the way the water system set up, as Fredericksburg and Harrisburg, as you're coming south to north, whole road by itself is the one feeder. It's a booster station that feeds that tank. When that tank gets fed, it's isolated, just Bex Mill going north into into the mill, and then we go up, what is the road? Van Zandt's Trail, see, and then we end up over by Hardin Brothers on Mill Creek Road. And that's basically, when they upgrade that tank, picking up that much water, like they got a good deal when they built the tank. But the thing is, it just sits there all the time. Chuck Feeders is right on that tank. Chuck Feeders by itself drops tank about 5 foot a day. And now Hardin Brothers, they're dairy, and with everybody else we have there, the tank just doesn't move.
Before we put that tank in, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, nobody had any water up in there because they were running out of water. Hardin Brothers was starting, they'd taken all the water, nobody else had any water. Of course, they were down there at the hill where they could get water through the line and nobody else could. We put that tank in, that eliminated that. They've got water at all times. Of course, anybody north of that tank has got water. But like you said, we need to get some water around to the other side over towards Kansas Church Road.
Yeah.
And it's done.
There's a real deficit in there. In fact, we've had some people, even in the plan commission days when I was on there, that on the Bex Mill toward Stouts, on Bex Mill Road.
Okay.
There's an area around there, there's about a cluster of houses. They're in between 2 water systems.
Yes, yes.
You talked about Hardins. Would it be prohibitive for you to loop that and put a bigger tank at Bex Mill?
We tried that, 7 years ago.
Yes.
Anyway, there was nobody up Bex Mill Road with a sign up for water except one person. And the linkers had, and then they took a survey, they had to do a survey to get a grant. Nobody qualified as low income on that road. That killed that project.
Okay.
But I know what's going on, because there is people up there who would like to have water, but they want you to spend all the money to go to it and hook them up. And we'll try to get this grant, and would have, if they'd all been under income levels, low income level, but none of them qualified.
Are most of your water systems looped?
For the most part.
Okay.
The Bex Mill area, Fredericksburg, Harrisburg, the way that we run, we're 40 miles long, but we're like, the way that we split coming from the backside of Paley and then Bowling, that's where we hook the Patoka. We come together on Oak Grove Road, right outside of Rego. Then from Rego, Millersburg Road there, that section there, it goes straight to West Washington School, and that's all it does. It is not looped. It stays by itself. Everything else, when you come into Harrisburg, we join our 2 pits together from the Oak Grove tank. We come around 150, and we come down Valley Road, and we meet in Hardsburg. That's how we fill the Hardsburg tank. And then from there, we use 150. But going down 150, we shoot down Case Chapel, the Bex Mill area, all the way from Morgan Lane, to Bex Mill. And most of that all loops together. We go all the way to, we're about a half, when we go to Palmyra, Palmyra Road and us have about a half-mile gap on Cedar Lane, and that's all Corner Chapel Road. We service all the way to there. We reach out, on the backside, then on like Radcliffe Road, Highway 66, we got to Crawford County, at the top of the hill, that's where we stop there. For the most part, we're just really long, and we use our tanks in a sequence. One tank fills another tank, that helps, but with our tanks, after Oak Road, once you get to Hardsburg, Fredericksburg, them two tanks are set at the same elevation. The thing that, like, we have PRVs there because we have too much pressure. But the problem is, as you come down, go into Bex Mill, as it raises up, that's where we get into our trouble with pressure. And the only justifiable way I could see us anything was to be able to use that Bex Mill tank. And what has happened, when they did one line extension off of Bex Mill Road, to the Howard Township Fire Department. And that was before I started supply 12 years ago.
Yeah, it's the years doing it, yeah.
So with that left about a 7/10 of a mile gap in Bex Mill Road. From there coming back south. But that's where, by doing that, and then we basically, if we could cut the system like that, take the people with the highest elevations and use them on that tank, they would have that supply of water, which would actually help us on the Bex Mill side, keeping our pressures, I think, with everybody else, the way that when we cut off Posey Chapel and coming through Kansas Church Road, I think by eliminating them people off of, because right now everyone's off them still the Bex Mill or the Fredericksburg and Hartsburg tank. It's feeding everything now, where the Bex Mill tank is just feeding 50 to 60 customers on basket.
Okay. You got all that, didn't you?
It was a long story. And it was,
You're wanting, for right now, you're wanting to lean toward option 2, is that right?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Everything you said makes sense to me as far as connecting the dots and the pressure issues.
I see that you have the GIS map pulled up. Do your service lines, do they service a layer on the county's GIS website, or is this your internal?
This is my internal here.
Is that anything where the county might be able to add that to a layer to their GIS?
You would have to ask Paul from GIS about that.
I guess it's more, is Posey Water open to that? I think that information with our own GIS system would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
My understanding, you're gonna re-engineer what you've got here.
Yes, I think if you go to the actual quote from the engineer, some of the biggest things that the engineering fee, the inspection, and the 200,000 with the engineering fee. I don't think there's no more than what we're doing here. I do not see, and there were some of the rough estimates that he gave, I think, was way overbid. I mean, way overbid. And I know they said that's just the normal, but I don't see how it could even come up. I mean, I didn't even want to present this to you after I got paid. And like I said, it was short and it's quick. But then I got my results last week for the 6.5 miles we went through and said $3 million, and I knew right then. I mean, things have went up significant amount. I know, just on that pipe, like C900 that, it was running, $15, $16 a foot, is now, they quoted at $26 a foot. And, but I think there is a lot of extra cushion in this that I would like to get down and go to somebody else and have a chance to actually sit down and put the pencil to paper.
If you put bids out for this, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while, but, I don't think you require an actual engineer. You don't need that big engineer's sum if the size of the line, I understand this to be 4 inch. So it's not like a 6-inch main line, so you won't need those salty.
And that's what, I did not realize that. I thought just going in because it was in, I had never done a new line extension. And I thought with that, well, especially that first quote,
Yeah.
always up through there.
I don't think you need that.
No, I think,
Which is good.
yes,
So we're over the sticker shock, which is a good thing.
yes, the sticker
So
shock.
now we get down to some real numbers, so.
Yes, and that's what I think, let me go back in 30 days, put this together with, and I'd like to get some bids out on this, and, the main thing is just see where we can actually cut the fact. I mean, the one thing that I want to do, and we'll do it ourselves, Holy Chapel, West Washington School, it's super rocky, to the point, it's gonna be a problem. I need to really, that is gonna make a $200,000 difference in this bid. I'd like to go out and test out all the way up through there this summer, because, about 2 years ago, right at where West Washington and Police Chapel intersect, we, for Ernie Tuttle, he sold his house, and we had water on Posey Chapel, but we had to cross Posey Chapel, and then cross West Washington School Road. We did a double road board. At the end of that day, they had just repaved West Washington School Road. We did the first board, got through just fine, no problem. The second board, we got stuck. We cut half the road out, and we got it to rock half the size of this room. And we ended up digging probably 20 foot down on the ground. We finally did get the bore back, but, you know, the county guys was not happy with us, and, you know, I want to see how bad the rock is, because that is a great expense that can make a huge difference on this bid. And we need to know for sure what we're looking to.
So with this bid, is that not considering the possibility of hitting rock? Or is this considering hitting rock?
This is within the engineers considering everything. And I think every worst scenario possible that you could ever think of. And I just, that's not fair to, I don't think it's a fair price and a fair bid to give out. And, we got a chance today to talk to another engineer, and, we'll get together with him and to see if we can get this a little more manageable for everybody. And I need time to look and see, because the rock is going to make a difference, and that's what, that's going to be the cost per yard of rock, putting line back, and actually have to add dirt. That's going to make a big difference in this project.
So you're basically just asking for 30 days to, I think you have it all together.
I think I can.
All right. Well, we'll take that under advisement and be looking for your other alternative in there. I'm thinking that, you know, I don't know what your feed line is to that Bex Mill tank. Is it a 4-inch line?
I'm coming 6 inch all the way down Bex Mill line or Bex Mill Road. When it goes to Go Road, then we go to 4-inch to feed the tank, and then that's the way it was set up.
So do you feed it, you say with 6?
We feed it with 6.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It just seems like, low water pressure and stuff in there and elevation. For you, from Bex Mill, from Fredericksburg or Hardinsburg, elevation to Bex Mill, what's the difference there?
You can basically take from Mount Carmel Road, if you know where that's at.
Yes.
The elevation, I mean, it actually increases dramatically, because at the same tanks feeding the same thing. We have, like, when you come outside of Fredericksburg, you go towards Palmar, we have PRV, we have over 100 pounds of pressure in places. There's the amount, I mean, I would have to, I've got the GIS, I could pinpoint it. I just know, as soon as we start up past Mount Carmel Road, the raise right there is where it all starts at. It's just, it's the area of everything from Posey Chapel, Kansas Church Road, all the waste that comes into that Bexville tank.
I don't know, I think you need a discussion on your pressure, how to change that pressure, you know, by possibly even a bigger tank at the next
Well,
level.
The one thing, it's not that we need more, I need to be taller.
Oh, I don't know,
Taller is the thing, I mean, just like when they build these
because
things.
that's just an upright tank.
Yes,
And that's the reason I say that, but I'm not a water engineer, so.
Nobody at that.
yeah, overhead.
Yeah.
How much are you asking for?
Right now, it's 900,000.
Are you, I mean, if you were asking for the total project
Yeah.
cost and you're
Yeah.
going to go get the revised bid and revised
Yeah.
estimate before asking for that, but you came in here with the full project cost is what you would be asking for.
I come in with what a change from the first one, the 3 million, which and then after, in basically a week, we put the rest of this together, that's why
Okay.
and after seeing that, I hate to bring this in, but I want to bring you guys something and to get started with, and then we're just there's a lot of planning going on right now, and just, we gotta move some numbers around and just get with, I think someone that'd be better for all of us.
Okay, sounds good. Any questions from the committee? If not, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
you.
If you wanted to be here, there you go. All right, what do we got? We got some stuff from the previous, let's take a look at the minutes. Minutes, is there anything, Carl, that wasn't addressed on the June, 7th meeting? There's no updates. We don't have any updates. I told, told them to split that bids up, you know, in there. I did find out some information that they do own the building. They do own the building, so it's not a leased building in there. So, with the food bank. But they haven't brought us any additional information.
Sorry, I was thinking.
Well, I thought I had felt something. I didn't know really what it was.
I would like to bring up, Delaney Creek Park,
Okay?
okay? They were one of the very first ones that we got an application from. And now we got another application. This is different than the first one we got, but, you know, I don't think it's gonna go away. I think, unless you guys have talked about it and decided something that I missed. Maybe that's, I don't know. Yeah.
The only thing in the discussion was that they're having an increase. They had an increase because of COVID, you know, as far as their cash receipts. They're one of the beneficiaries of being a regional park where it was more accessible, I guess, to our community and utilized more.
Okay.
So the dilemma I have about everything that we got in here, we're showing revenue loss until we come to Delaney.
Mhm.
And then when we come to Delaney, we usually see a revenue increase,
Okay.
which is good. I'm glad they did that. But, you know, realistically, we're after the ones that are, you know, for enhancing, you know, life, what am I trying to say? Enhance people's lives.
Yeah, quality of life.
Quality of life in there, water, sewage, you know, the fibers, you know, quality of life, loss of revenue on like Fourth of July parade, Martinsburg Lions Club, all these nonprofits that help out in ways. And there, we kind of filled their void as far as what they have lost in revenue for their things like that. So we've kind of concentrated on that. And then you come to Delaney, which is an asset to the county. But when you take a look at their records in there, you actually see a revenue gain.
Okay, so can we just deny it and move on and get it out of the folder?
Well, I'm not so worried about that as putting it on a shelf right now. I'm putting it on the shelf because when we come up, we got another year of this allocation of our money. And I think we're gonna come to a point where we're gonna go back to review the projects we haven't funded.
So is that where we're putting weathers
Well,
on that same shelf?
yeah, of course, weather's is one where you start a business and you open up a new can.
I know, but we still got an application for it,
Oh,
so that's why I'm asking, are we gonna put that on the same shelf as this then?
Well, that's my recommendation.
Okay.
That's my recommendation.
Cause I'm gonna put it on the shelf.
Put it
I'm
on,
not gonna do
yeah.
anything with it. Okay.
Yeah, I think you will have to come back and revisit some of these after it's all said and done.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we go through this thing in there, and I think we go through there, some of these water projects out there, I mean, they're big money, and the one thing that it takes is that the water company would be interested in doing a project first. And if the water company is not interested in doing a project, we do not have the manpower or the money, to go do it for them, and nor are we able to, because these companies are either cooperatives or privately, or I don't know how the structure is. Like East Washington's a corporation, member owned, so it's a co-op. So what do you do? I mean, we've got some people that are in need in some places, but we can't force the cards. Well,
I get one question out of the way.
yes,
Back to Campbellsburg.
all right.
What's your time frame when you're,
It just depends on what materials do. Like I said, a lot of that stuff is, the price reflects on us doing a lot of the work ourselves.
are you, if the 36,200, would that prevent you to go ahead and get done, or, I mean, are you?
I mean, as soon as we knew something, we would move forward, yes.
Do you think there's a chance materials will go down in the next 60 to 90 days?
I don't know that. I would just be,
Well, materials, I'm building a house right now, so materials are fluctuating up and down depending on when you order things, but I did just get a note that door prices are increasing, so in the next 2 days.
You're just going good news, ain't you?
our biggest hit on that list is concrete.
Yeah.
Or the concrete materials, so,
But your goal is to have this done by winter time if
we would definitely have the floor poured by winter so we could get it in and wire it.
Right.
And then insulation.
Okay, I'll make a motion to the Campbellsburg Water Department for the sum of $36,200.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried.
Okay. Well,
You did pass that and send it to us.
Yes.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I got it down right here. It says
Okay.
approved by ARP committee.
Yeah.
Did you feel that? When you were thinking over there? Gotcha.
Yeah, what was your question a while ago?
I don't quite know yet.
Well, it's a
So-
sample rate.
All right.
I have a question. Who or what is Shrout, Tate, and Wilson?
They're engineers. And we, a long time ago, in a jail project, this county took on with RQAW. And they was behind everything. And Shrout, Tate, and Wilson come to us by way of Sharman Construction. And they're definitely way under the price of RQAW. They've done the same thing, and they, to where we didn't have to have a construction manager, they took care of that also, along with the engineering and the sizing of the air conditioning in the courthouse. That's who they are. Now let's go back one more question. Because you asked about the lighting part. In the lighting part, we all got a command John Burley took the waste.
Oh my gosh.
But, and I have to be honest with, we're in the final stages of the final money. The lighting part, I think last year done $122,000 to the good. They're making good money. Everybody has went through a downfall and shortage of some means in their businesses for a livelihood. And I'd have to say, and John ain't gonna like me for saying it, but somebody's making good, $122,000. No, they're not gonna make what they could make. But when you look at 50, 60, 100 people out here wanting water, to me, that's a definite cost. And water was one of the main issues of the ARP money when it first came
Yeah.
out. New sheriff down at Pekin, Templesburg Sheriff, Salem, East Washington. And this stage with the final draw there, and I think we need to go slow on this amount that we're gonna be passing out. But when I see set out there, and they're willing to do this, I think we need to help them. And close the chapel. Like I said, I mean, it would be as bad as a wet hen if you didn't have water. My wife would be. So
I'm sure the men need showers too, Bill.
do what?
I'm sure the men need showers too.
Well,
Maybe that's why the women would be mad.
we've had some we can't help, we know. But these are some of the priorities I think we need to be looking at. And I think we need to keep that in mind.
Brock, did you have something you'd like to bring up? Anything? Sherry, do you have anything else you'd like to bring up?
Yeah.
Okay.
On this that's been paid out to Posey Township, looks like it's $35,000
We did files. What?
Rebuilt the Fredericksburg Grocery Station.
Yes.
Oh,
Others.
I wasn't here.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have almost a month in a time frame of they can start to raise their prices. And I feel like they're getting on their feet.
They never have came back.
They didn't come back to the sheriff, didn't bring that up.
You haven't seen it. Haven't seen it. Okay. Is there anything else that need to be addressed at this meeting?
I can?
Yeah.
The town of Hardensburg is going to have to start taking the vote, right? Because they're incorporated, what they've done for the town is to basically self-appoint themselves. And so they are actually a taxing unit and have taxed their community without representation. So, taxation without representation.
So where are you getting at?
Well, the state's gonna require them to spend out like 10 or 15,000, whatever the magic number was, to
Right.
hold elections next year. And those people don't have the money, the town itself doesn't have the money to cover that. That's people in need, and it's not just Hardinsburg, it's also, Livonia and South Hello and Little York.
Little York.
But our county's in a position where these people are gonna have to come up with money. I mean, like the water thing is a good thing, and it's gonna affect some people. Well, these people are gonna be in a bind because they're gonna have to come up with money to pay for their, election cycle thing. So that's something, can you consider how that works?
The way we read the ARP max.
Yes.
plan, we thought about doing that, but the way we read it, they're telling us we can't do it. Not with the ARP funds.
Okay, so, I mean, and that's, I just wanted to make sure that it was brought forward. You know, I'm just gonna say this too, that you've got, what was the final number on the fuel tanks?
37,000.
No,
37,000.
37,000,
Yeah.
just, I thought it was like 400,000 for the fuel tanks for the,
406,
Okay, I'm sorry.
269.
400.
in six, yeah, okay.
Remember?
406,000.
What I'd like to suggest,
But that was permissible.
right, I know that. What I'm gonna just kind of like wiggle out there, since we're gonna go through the budget hearings, that maybe ask Rocky what it would cost to go ahead and get these people under compliance, and even though it's an extra expense, and a one-year expense, because you've gotten $400,000 to take care of the highway department tanks.
And we're still working on Hardinsburg.
I understand that, but I'm just gonna put it out there,
Hey, I'm with you.
okay?
I can hear you.
Do you know what time frame you're looking at?
To get this all bid out to you. Do you guys meet the 6th of next month of August?
No, I mean,
Well,
Oh,
as far as to do the work,
based upon where we'd be at, the thing is with the breakfast project, what's nice about this project, we're in 3 different locations. The big part of Posey Chapel will be in Phoenix. That room there, definitely would want to put in the winter time. What I was proposed, one way that I was seeing that we could make this cheaper, that I could go with, that's like whoever we went with, I wanted to do it with smaller crews, instead of them coming in and trying to run 3 crews and bust everything at one time. That was one way I seen how we could bring the price down. I think in the winter time, we could lay the lines, and then we could, once we had the lines laid to the field, farmers come back in the spring. I think realistically 6 months.
okay, I mean, that's what I'm getting at, because everything has to be committed by 24. Everything has to be completed by 26. Everything will be, and you will have to report what percentage you have got done and everything like that. That's what I was wondering. Can you
Yes.
take it, get everything like that?
Yeah, definitely.
If you're in a year and a half, you could easily get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at, because some of them, just 300 feet road wall. That's just one connecting Bex Mill to Kansas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this we could do, you know, with one way, just, one of the things he had in there, I think, one of the expenses was paying for farmers' crops and stuff like that. There's no sense of paying for farmers' crops in the wintertime, to go ahead and dig them in. I mean, there was a lot of things I seen that I know we could really shave off his budget, and that's why.
Yeah, he's a lot of fat in it.
Yes, there's ways, a lot of that.
Let's just go back to the next meeting.
Okay,
Got some answers.
yeah.
all right. I want to reinstate that our ARP is not dealing with anything on political end. This is dealing with money that's been allocated out for the federal government for relief projects. And some of the stipulations in there, even though I don't agree with some ways that the money it can be used, it is stipulated in the manual. But it does have stipulation of where you will not use that money. So I'm not going to get in any political debate in of an extended conversation that maybe has gone with the commissioners with this committee. Because we're not privileged to know what that conversation was at that time. so I'm not gonna entertain, discussing that anymore.
No, but I did feel that I needed to
I,
make an ask.
you've spoken peace.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, so, second, well, I'll let you do it first, and then I'll let somebody else.
I'll second it.
All right, Sherry, second. It's open for discussion, seeing none. Okay, to vote, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, same, motion carries. The ARP committee is adjourned.
Written in motion,